Right. So we discussed about the historical background of Constitution of India in first unit. Now I am going to start the second unit, that is philosophy of the Indian Constitution. Okay. Now I am going to explain about the philosophy of the Indian Constitution, that is preamble and silent features. Preamble, this is a preamble, silent features. Okay. I am going to discuss about the preambles of the Constitution of India, okay, preambles of the Constitution of India and silent features of the Indian Constitution. So all these things, suppose if I take the preambles, in this preamble there are different words are there, like justice in terms of social, economic and political, liberty of thought, equality of status and opportunity, fraternity. So I'll explain about the sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic, justice, right. In this video, I am going to explain about the preambles of Constitution of India. Okay, this topic was there in your syllabus unit 2. Okay, in this unit 2, okay, the syllabus in unit 2 syllabus, the preambles of Constitution of India is there. Now we will see what do you mean by preambles. Suppose let us consider a textbook, one particular subject textbook. In that textbook, the author will give you brief introduction about the textbook. Like in that textbook, what we are going to discuss, like you can say synopsis, otherwise you can say it's abstract. Like you can take a journal paper, in journal paper there is an abstract, right? In that, by studying that abstract, you will get to know the overview of that paper, right? Same way, for the Constitution of India, the preambles are the primary statements. Okay, so overview of the Constitution of India it will give. So what is this preamble here? Now see here, this is the preamble. Okay, we, the people of India, having solemnly resolved to constitute India into a sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic, and to secure to all its citizens then justice, social, economic and political, liberty of thought, expression, belief, faith and worship, equality of status and of opportunity, and to promote among them all fraternity, assuring the dignity of individual and the unity and integrity of the nation. In our Constituent Assembly, this 26th day of November 1949, do hereby adopt, enact and give to ourselves this Constitution. So this page of Indian Constitution will give you the preamble. Okay, na? So preamble is an introductory statement. Remember, preamble is an introductory statement of the Constitution of India, which lays down the ideals it attempts to promote. So in India, we should promote all these things, like we should promote sovereignty, secular, democratic republic, justice in terms of social, economic and political, liberty of thoughts, expression, belief, faith and worship. So we should promote in India. So these points given in the preambles. Okay, na? So introductory statement, preamble is an introductory statement. Remember this one, preamble is an introductory statement of our Constitution. Okay, it has some ideas or objectives, we should promote these ideas. Then preambles explain objectives of the Constitution in two ways. So the preamble explain objectives of the Constitution in two ways. One is the structure of governance. Second is ideals to achieve in independent India. So what is the basic structure of the governance? Okay, what is the basic structure of the governance? Okay, you can see here sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic. That is the basic structure of a Constitution of India. You can say basic structure we are following. Okay, and second, ideals to achieve in independent India. Objectives to achieve in independent India. So what are the objectives we should achieve? Justice in terms of social, economic and political, liberty of thought, expression, belief, faith and worship, equality of status and opportunity. So we should promote all these objectives. Remember, in after independence, okay, as per the Constitution of India, from the preambles, we should promote all these things. Okay, and the structure of the governance is this one: sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic and republic. So this information it will give. Okay, na? Understood what is preamble here? Next, ingredients of the preambles. Okay, ingredients of the preambles means in preambles what are the ingredients present, you can say. Now see here, the first one, the source of authority of the Constitution. Source of authority of the Constitution means from where we took this authority of the Constitution. Who is the author of the Constitution, you can say, right? The preamble states that the Constitution derives its authority from the people of India. So preamble says that, okay, states that the Constitution derives its authority from the people of India. See, you can see ourselves and give ourselves, adapt and give ourselves to this Constitution. Okay, who is the authority of the Constitution of India? People of India. People of India. Sources of authority of the Constitution is actually from the people of India. You remember this one. Next, the nature of Indian state. So don't think that state is like Telangana, AP, like that. Indian state is like nothing but an Indian country. Okay, the nature of Indian state here. It declares India to be a sovereign, socialist and secular, sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic and republic state. So what type of state India? Nature of India is what type of, nature of India, the governance, objectives of the governance of India is what? Sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic and republic. You should remember these keywords. Okay, na? Then objectives of the Constitution. What are the objectives of the Constitution? See, as per the Constitution, the India should provide to its people justice, liberty, equality, fraternity as its objectives. So remember, objectives of the Constitution here it is justice, liberty, equality, fraternity as its objectives. And finally, date of adoption of the Constitution. See, the date of adoption of the Constitution here is given 26th day of November 1949. 26th day of November 1949. So, listen carefully. For your exam, if they ask you a question like that, explain what is define a preamble or what is a preamble and explain about the preambles of Constitution of India. If they ask you, you should give the preamble is an introductory statement of the Constitution which lays down the ideals it attempts to promote. The objectives of the preamble is like the structure of the governance and ideals to achieve in independent India. Then the ingredients of the preamble, you can say the source of authority, you can say the people of India. The nature of Indian state is sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic and republic state. And objectives of the Constitution is to justice, liberty, equality, fraternity as its objectives. And date of adoption of the Constitution, it stipulates November 26, 1949 as the date. So this is the information about the preamble, right? Now we will discuss about in depth like what is sovereign, what is socialist, what is secular, like that. Sometimes in the question paper they may give you, okay, define the following terms, explain the following terms in Indian Constitution of India, like that they'll ask you. That's why I'll explain these terms, right? So before going to discuss about these words like sovereign, socialist, secular, first I'll explain the sources of preamble. Means actually this concept of preamble from where we took. Okay, na? That one I'll explain. Now, if we talk about the sources of preambles, the idea actually came from the objectives resolutions developed by the Jawaharlal Nehru. Remember, objectives resolutions was laid down by J.L. Nehru. The idea actually came from this. Okay, see, the ideals behind the preambles to India's constitution were laid down by Jawaharlal Nehru Objectives Resolution adopted by the Constituent Assembly on January 22, 1947. So in 1947, January 22, okay, they developed the draft committee was there. The head of the draft committee was B.R. Ambedkar. So they thought that there must be some initial abstract or a statement must be present. By studying that statement, they should know about the overview of the Indian Constitution, like that they thought, and they took these the concept of preamble from the objectives resolution laid down by the Jawaharlal Nehru. Now, the concept of preamble in world from where it is actually there, the idea of preamble has been borrowed from the Constitution of the USA. Remember, the idea of preamble has been borrowed from the Constitution of USA. See, actually, the drafting committee took the concepts actually from the different constitutions of world. Some concepts, some ideology took from the America, some ideology they took from the France, some ideology they took from the Russia, like that. Okay, Indian constitution is the largest and biggest constitution in the world. It is borrowed from different countries actually. So the preamble concept actually was taken from the Constitution of USA. And the concept of, within the preamble, the concept of liberty, equality and fraternity in our preamble was adopted from the French Revolution. So remember, from the French Revolution, liberty, equality and fraternity was adopted. Then social, economic and political justice in our preambles was adopted from the Russian Revolution. Okay, from the Russian Revolution, what are the terms we are adopted? Social, economic and political justice. Social, economic and political justice. These terms we are adopted from the Russian Revolution. Liberty, equality and fraternity taken from or adopted from French Revolution. So this is the sources of preambles. Remember, actually the word preamble, the concept of preamble is taken from the Constitution of USA. Remember that point. Now, the nature of Indian state. So what is the nature of Indian state? As we discussed from the preambles, Indian state nature is like you can say the sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic, republic nature. Okay, na? See here, sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic and republic. So if anyone asks you what is the nature of Indian state, you should say that sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic and republic. Now one by one I'll explain about these words. Okay, so what do you mean by sovereign? What do you mean by sovereign? Means India is the top. Above India, no one will be there. We are not dominated by anyone else. We are the top. India is the top. That is the concept of sovereign. We should not rule by someone else. Okay, see here, India is neither a dependency nor a dominion of any other nation. Remember, so India should not depending on any other nation. India neither dependent nor domination by any other state. Okay, but an independent state. India is an independent state. Okay, there is no authority above it. So remember, what do you mean by sovereign? You can say that there is no authority above it, above India. India is an independent state. no one overruled by the India. Okay, na? India's membership in Commonwealth, some people will get doubt, sir, India is also working under United Nations. India is also working under Commonwealth. So is it the United Nations is dominating India? Is it Commonwealth nations are dominating India? No. India is just a member country. India, it is not compulsory that India should follow the United Nations rules. It's not compulsory for India. That is called sovereign. Okay, na? So India's membership in Commonwealth of Nations does not affect the sovereignty of India. Okay, India's membership of the United Nations organizations also no way constitute limitations on our sovereignty. So remember, India is a sovereign state, that means independent state. No one rule above India. Remember that we call it as a sovereignty. Now, next is socialist country. India is a socialist country. Actually, this word socialist word was not there in the original constitution. It was added in 1976 during Indira Gandhi rule. Actually, so what do you mean by socialist actually? See, you can take this image, you can see this image, okay? What do you mean by socialism? You can say, work 10 hours a week, get what you all produce free. Suppose the people work for 10 hours, you will produce something, right? That will be free for you. That is called socialism. But our country is not a completely a socialist country. Because in our country, a lot of businessmen are there, capitalists also there, right? So our country is a balancing of socialism and capitalism, that we call it as a democratic socialism. Now see here, socialism without capitalism is communism. Remember, socialism without capitalism is communism. Like China is a communist country, Russia is a communist country, there are no capitalists, no businessmen. Right? Socialism without capitalism is a communism. Capitalism without socialism as a fascism. Capitalism without socialism as a fascism. So, India is not a communist country. India is not a fascist country. India is a democratic socialistic country. India is a democratic socialist country. Means India also support the socialism, also support the capitalism. Means economically, India should be economically strong. At the same time, India must be a proper socialist country. Socialism must be there because lot of population is there. So if we follow fascism, if we encourage capitalism, then lot of people will suffer. There are so many poor people are there. We should provide food to everyone, right? So that's why India is following a democratic socialism, balancing of communism, balancing of socialism and capitalism, both. Now see here, democratic socialism is an economic, remember, democratic socialism is an economic, social and political ideology holding that while both the society and economy should run democratically, remember, society and economy should run democratically, balancing manner we should go. They should be decided to meeting the needs of the people as a whole rather than encouraging individual prosperity as in capitalism. So we should not encourage individual wealth. We should not encourage individual wealth. It is not a capitalistic country. And at the same time, it is not a 100% socialistic country. It is a democratic socialistic country. Remember, India is a democratic socialist country. So, this term socialism was developed by the Indira Gandhi government, added in the Constitution and 42nd Constitutional Amendment Act 1976. 46th Constitutional Amendment Act 1976. Remember, this is called socialism. So, sovereign socialism. Next, secular. As you know that secular means like we should respect every religion. Okay, we should respect. India is a secular state or a secular country because in India there are so many religions, right? Right, Hinduism is there, right? Muslimism is there, and Christianity is there, Buddhism is there, Jainism is there. There are so many religions present in India. So that's why we should respect each religion in India. So that's why it is a secular state. India is a secular state. Even this word it was also not there in the original constitution. This word was also added during the Indira Gandhi rule, that is in 1976, 42nd Constitutional Amendment Act. See here, all religions in our country, irrespective of their strength, generally in world, some countries, based on the population or strength, they will decide this is the religion we should follow, like that. But in India, it's not like that. Okay, in India, Hindus are there, lot of Hindus are there. So we should not say that India is like a Hindu country like that, because it's a secular state. Okay, we should respect all the religions, right? So all religions in our country, irrespective of their strength, have the same status and support from the state. So we should give same status for every religion and support from the state, that we call it as a secular. So remember, secular was added by the 42nd Constitutional Amendment Act of 1976. Okay, even the fundamental rights to freedom of religion was also there. We'll discuss that fundamental rights. Freedom of religion is also there in Constitution under Article 25 to 28. So this is the information about the secularism. India is a secular country, right? So three terms I discussed: sovereign, socialist and secular. Another one is democratic. What do you mean by democratic? You might be familiar in movies, of the people, by the people, for the people, like that, right? One example, let us consider. In India, the governance body is Parliament. In Parliament, MPs are there, cabinet ministers are there, Prime Minister is there, and President is there, right? See, you take cabinet ministers, Prime Minister, they play a key role to run the nation. Suppose you take recently the war was there between the India and Pakistan. So to attack, to do something, actually who will give powers? The prime ministers and cabinet ministers will give powers. Who are the prime ministers and cabinet ministers? They are member of parliaments. Who elected this member of parliaments? The people. People elected member of parliaments, right? So we can say here, democracy means the people represent the members, its members, and they will decide how to run the nation, like that, right? That we call it as a democracy. How will you elect the people? There is a universal adult franchise, means above 18 years old people, they can cast their vote, they elect the members, right? Irrespective of caste, race, religion, like that, everyone is eligible to cast a vote who are above 18 years old. That we call it as universal adult franchise. So this we call it as a democracy. Okay, India is the largest democratic country in the world. India is the largest democratic country in the world. Now you can see here, democracy is a system of government in which citizens exercise power. Remember, citizens, its people, exercise power directly or sometimes elected representatives from among themselves. Okay, representative electives among themselves. to form a governing body such as a parliament. See, universal adult franchise, this is very, very, very key parameter for democracy. If this is not there, then democracy may not be present in the country. So above 18 years old people, they can use their vote power to elect the members, and these elections will run in a periodic manner to elect the representatives, right? So universal adult franchise, periodic elections, rule of law, independent of judiciary, and absence of discrimination on certain grounds are the manifestation of democratic ground. See, India is the world's largest democratic state, largest democratic state. So that we call it as a democracy. Now, the next, another one, that is the last one in the nature of the state, that is republic. So what we discussed, sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic, and finally a republic. So what do you mean by republic actually? Okay, what do you mean by republic? India is called a republic because its head is an elected one. See, remember, India's head means the topmost person, you can say prime minister or Rashtrapati. How they are? Is it they are kings? No, they are not kings. Okay, it is they are elected by the people by using universal adult franchise, that we call it as a republic. Okay, now in India the representatives are elected by the people of India. A republic present vesting political sovereignty in the people and not in single individual like a king. So the powers in India is not accumulated in one person, is not present in one person like king. Okay, in powers in India is mostly the representatives, people representatives, elected people. You can say people have powers, right? The absence of any privileged class, and hence all public offices being open to every citizen without any discrimination. Suppose you take a hospital. Is one particular hospital, government hospital, is applicable for one privileged class? No, no. It is applicable for every citizen of India. That we call it as a republic. You take MRO office. That MRO office is allowed by every citizen of India, right? Every citizen of India can use that service. Municipal office, MRO office, government hospitals, like that. Not only government, even private hospitals also. Everyone should have right to use those resources. Understood? That we call it as a republic. So it is not meant for one privileged class. It is for everyone. That we call it as a republic. So this is the nature of Indian state. So remember, sovereign. The nature of Indian state is sovereign, socialist, secular, and democratic, and a republic. Sovereign means, you can say, no authority above it. India is at the top. No one ruled by India. Right? Understood? Sovereign. Right? Second, socialist. India is following a democratic socialism. Means we are supporting the socialism, at the same time we are also supporting the economy. To support economy, we are also supporting the capitalism. Democratic socialism we are following. Then secular. All religions in our country are having equal rights. Okay, that we call it as a secular. So the socialist and secular recently added, not recently, 1976 they added as per the 42nd Constitutional Amendment Act. And democratic, India is a democratic country because India is ruled by the people representatives through the universal adult franchise. And finally, republic. India is not ruled by one single king. India is ruled by the people representatives. They are elected by the people actually. In India, every office is every office is allowed by every citizen of India is allowed by the every government office, you can say no discrimination, okay, based on the caste, religion, like that, that we call it as a republic. So this is the nature of Indian state. So in the question paper sometimes they may ask you, explain the nature of Indian state, or what are the features of Indian state, features of Indian constitution of India or Indian state, you can say, okay. So you should explain all these words, 5 words: sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic and republic. More than enough for your exam. So I discussed nature of the Indian state, right? Now next, objectives of the constitution. What are the objectives of the constitution? So these objectives are provided in the preambles of the Constitution of India. We will see what are the objectives. The first one is justice. Okay, the first one is justice. Here you can divide this justice into 3 forms. You can take social justice, okay, social justice, economic justice and political justice. Social justice, economic justice and political justice. So what do you mean by social justice? Suppose you can take female and male. So some of the people will think that female is a weaker section, like that. So we should not divide based on the male and female, based on the like caste, based on the race, based on the religion. We should not divide the people. So that we call it as a social justice. As per the Indian Constitution, the government should provide social justice to every citizen of India. Okay, see, equal treatment of all citizens without any social distinction based on caste, color, race, religion, sex. Okay, equal treatment of all citizens without any social distinction based on caste, color, race, religion and sex. That we call it as a social justice. Now, you take economic justice. See, like rich and poor. Suppose a temple you take, 2 people are going, one is a rich, another is a poor. So both should have equal rights to access the God, right? So that we call it as a economic justice. We should not give a for a privileged classes some type of treatment, for a normal people some type of treatment we should not provide. That we call it as economic justice. No discrimination between the people on the basis of economic factors. On the basis of economic factors, we should not discriminate the people, right? And political justice. See, all citizens should have the equal political rights. See, suppose you take in a village, everyone have the equal political rights. They can participate in the elections as like a Panchayati Raj elections, they can participate, right? So political justice, political rights, everyone should have equal political rights, equal access to the political offices, right? So that we call it as a political justice. So in preambles it is mentioned clearly justice in terms of social, economic and political. The constitution is provided to the people of India. Now the next objective is liberty. Next objective is liberty. Liberty means freedom of the people to choose their way of life. Freedom of people to choose their way of life. Okay. Suppose in terms, let us consider 2 persons. One person like TRS government, another person like Congress government. So it's their choice. We should not fight against the like Congress person or a TRS person. No one has right. It's their choice, their way of life. Okay, their thoughts are different, right? So based on that, they choose their own path. Like you can take religion also. They can take their own religion. Suppose some people will convert into Buddhism. Their way of life they can. But here, liberty has some limitations. You can't do anything based on that. See, suppose like so as per the Indian Constitution, I have a right to way of life and like that they may take drugs. That is not acceptable now. That is not acceptable. So liberty point of view, there are some limitations, right? So, right now, listen, this is liberty does not freedom to do anything. Liberty does not to do freedom to do anything. Okay, a person can do anything, but on a limit set by the rule of law. So Indian government gave some rules and laws. We should obey the law. We should obey the law. Based on that, you should follow your, you should like select your own path, way of life you can select. Okay, na? So liberty has some limitations. Remember that. Then the next one is equality. Next one is equality. The term equality means no section of society has any special privileges and all the people have given equal opportunity. All the people given equal opportunity for everything without any discrimination. Everyone is equal before the law. Remember, everyone is equal before the law. That is equality. Everyone is equal before the law. Right? Like you can take like traffic police, you can take. Okay, the nepotism sometimes, right? Like a traffic police son is driving without helmet. So like some people will not find them, but it is not acceptable. Everyone should be equal in front of the Constitution of India. Everyone is equal before the law. Remember, 3 dimensions of equality. You can take political equality, okay, like civic equality, and civic equality includes fundamental rights and economic equality. Okay, 3 dimensions of equality you can take. One is political equality. No person is to be declared ineligible for inclusion of electoral rolls on the grounds religion, race, caste, sex. So you are familiar sometimes in the news, my name is not there in the voter list. Okay, sometimes one person has 2 names, same names present in the voter list twice or thrice like that. So that is not acceptable. Every person, their name must be present in the voter list. We should not remove based on the caste, religion, race, sex, etc. That is political equality. Everyone has a right to vote. That is political equality. If that is missing, then we can't select a good representative. Right? Political equality. Elections to the Lok Sabha and the state assemblies to be on the basis of adult franchise. So everyone has a right to vote. That is political equality. That is political equality. Then civic equality. Fundamental rights are going to be ensure this civic equality, civil equality or civic equality, like equality before law, prohibition of discrimination on the grounds of religion, race, caste, sex. All these are the fundamental rights actually. We'll discuss elaborately about this. Equal opportunity in matter of public employment, abolition of untouchability, abolition of titles. All these comes under the civic equalities. All these comes under the civic equalities. And the economic equality. Okay, the directive principles of state policies accused men and women have equal rights and an advocate means of livelihood and equal pay of equal work. See, nowadays this is not there actually. In olden days, for a male person, they'll give more wages. For a female person, they'll give generally less wages. That type of trend was there in previously, 10-20 years back. But this trend was gone actually. Nowadays, everyone is getting same amount, a male or female, based on their work. So that we call it as a economic equality. This economic equality is actually assured with the help of directive principles of state policy. See, another objective of the Constitution of India is fraternity. Fraternity is nothing but a feeling, creating brotherhoodness among the people of India. Because in India, there are so many religions, caste, races are there. So we should create a fraternity among them so that it will run peacefully, right? Ultimate goal is to run peacefully. The country should develop in a peaceful manner. So that fraternity is also very important, right? So fraternity means feeling of brotherhoodness and emotional attachment with the country and all the people. So we should create an emotional attachment of the country and between the people of India. Fraternity helps to promote dignity and unity in the nation. So fraternity, this promote dignity and unity in the nation, right? Right? So this is the objective. So what are the objectives? What are the objectives? Right? The justice, liberty, okay, equality and fraternity. These are the objectives of the Constitution of India. So this is the information about the objectives. Now, the preamble actually is a part of the Constitution of India, right? So, after Keshavananda Bharati case, okay, this is important, after Keshavananda Bharati case, okay, they finally concluded that the preamble is a constitution, it comes under the Constitution of India. Okay, we should not change the basic structure of the preamble. We should not remove, we should not add some extra terms. Okay, we should not disrupt the basic structure of the Constitution of India. So as per the 42nd Constitutional Amendment Act 1976, after the judgment of Keshavananda Bharati case, it was accepted that preamble is a part of the Constitution. So remember, preamble is a part of the Constitution. But in 42nd Constitution Amendment Act 1976, the terms are added. Okay, in preamble some terms are added like socialist and secular were added between sovereign and democracy. Now listen, socialist and secular were added. See here, these two terms were not there in original constitution. These two terms are added in 1976 during Indira Gandhi period rule, right? Then after that, unity of the nation was changed to unity and integrity of the nation. See, unity was changed to unity and integrity. Previously, just unity of the nation was there. So this converted into unity and integrity of the nation. Same 42nd Constitution Amendment Act 1976, this was changed. So this is the complete information about the preamble. You can say the features of the Indian Constitution. So this will give you the features of the Indian Constitution. So a well-known educated person, by reading this one, he will get to know about the complete overview of the Constitution of India. So remember, the nature of the governance is sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic, republic. Right. The objectives of the Constitution of India is justice in terms of social, economic and political, liberty of thought, expression, belief, faith and worship, equality of status and opportunity to promote among them all, and fraternity, assuming dignity of an individual, the unity and integrity of the nation. So remember, these are the objectives of the Constitution. These are the nature of the state. This will give you the nature of the state. This will give you the objectives of the Constitution. So finally, the date is mentioned. The adoption of the preamble or Constitution is given. Okay, now this is the information about the preamble. Right. So from this topic, for your exam, what type of questions they'll ask you from the preambles, like define preamble and explain the nature of Constitution of India. So you should define the preamble. It is an introductory statement of the Constitution of India. And nature of the preamble is, nature of the Constitution of India is like nature of the Constitution of India, the nature of the Indian state, you can say sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic and republic. These words you should explain. And what are the objectives of the Constitution of India? So this type of questions they will ask you for your exam.